glad you brought that up, Prashant, because I heard that Ajit had some pretty good points to make about accountability and about how
Yes.
everybody, I would say I've met maybe 10, 11 people that teach taekwondo, boxing, karate, or so they think they're teaching MMA. Because they the tag of MMA is an incredibly it's an incredibly attractive one, and it makes teaching fighting sound incredibly enticing to somebody. So what's your take on that, and how do you deal with somebody that claims to be an MMA trainer after you've given so much of your life to it, after you've given so much of your mental, physical, financial uh, energy to it? How does that make you feel? Like, how do
So,
you how do you deal with that?
I mean, it feels crappy, but it's very simple. See, now these guys, all the martial artists used to charge like 200, $300 before, right? Whether it was boxing, this, that, or anything, it'll be some hole in the wall kind of club with hard sitting there and some weird stuff going on. Some of them were decent as far as the technical stuff in their martial art is concerned, but otherwise it wasn't a very scientific this thing then. Even the sports units weren't that great at that point when I just started out. With MMA, it suddenly became this rage. It was the king of everything, and you could charge good money and all of that jazz. Especially after I started, a lot of people wanted to get on that bandwagon. So, I mean, I've had guys like that. Diego's coach work for me. They came in, learned a little bit, and then go. Suddenly, I see them with balancing bowls of water on the head and all that shit. So that kind of used to happen. So, lighting sand on fire and putting their hands in it and taking it out for conditioning. The thing is, they don't see. That's why I was saying I support the belt system and the coaching certifications and all of that, because it gives you some sort of base, and at least you know these techniques. At least you know the principles of combat. At least you know the principles of training and all of that. Because anyway, these guys are going to come out crawling out from all the woodwork as MMA grows, and it's only going to grow bigger and bigger. When I was doing this whole MMA thing and I was training full time, Pakka and all, the pinnacle of technical MMA was Bas Rutten. If you see TD, that's what everyone used to use as the guide and to learn from, because there's nobody in India doing MMA. And if you look at it now, it's so basic.
Yeah.
Right? It's just like the first step that you take, what you teach all the juniors and all. Because MMA has so many elements, and each of those elements is so specialized. You sit and do jiu-jitsu for 10 years, you sit and do boxing for 10 years, you sit and do Muay Thai for 10 years, you sit and do wrestling for 10 years. And if you've done all of that and trained it at a high level, then you can call yourself a complete MMA coach.
Yeah.
Right? Technically, that's what it is. Right? Because you have a solid understanding of everything. So that's not possible. It's practically impossible for anyone to do. So you always have to be open. If you ask me, one is you have to have a baseline. Now, how good that baseline is in what also. Some people are very good at grappling. Some people are very good at against the cage. Some people will be very good at striking. Some people will be very good at other stuff, right? So I feel the best thing you can do is give a good baseline to your students, teach them the basic principles and create a good ecosystem. After that, you have to send them out to other people and specialists. You have to bring in specialists, work on specifics, because they can keep improving. Because even someone who's trained 10 years will have so much more to go when it comes to jiu-jitsu, so much more to go when it comes to boxing, so much more to go when it comes to this, other things, because they've been spread out thin over all of these things. They can always learn more from specialists. With all these clowns, I don't know. I mean, there's still a lot of them out there. I think the only way to deal with them will be calling them out.
Yeah, just call them out and tell them the shit.
They won't come
in Tamil Nadu.
In Tamil, no, this is all over India, not just Tamil Nadu, right? The thing is, with, like I said, in Bangalore, those guys will call you out if you do shit. Here, we're too polite and nice and non-confrontative. So I guess these boys, as they grow a little hair, they'll start calling out these guys. But that's the only way. Because otherwise, you're going to have an MMA club on every corner and then you can't charge decently. So you'll be charged 200, 300 bucks. So the strategy that I followed is very simple. We just compete and we win. So end of the day, we are the best. And it's proven through medals. So that's how I do it.
Oh, that's insane, man. You know,
there's a lot of clowns. Yeah, we used to not have people to compete. We still don't in Tamil Nadu. If I have a tournament, nobody comes in from the other clubs. They just don't compete. They'll have their own competitions inside their own club. That too very rarely, and call themselves champions. Here, when we have tournaments, I'll get a few people from other tier 2 cities and all coming in, but no one from Chennai coming in because I don't know what, ego or whatever it is. As far as competition, what we used to do initially, that's why my boys compete in various combat sports, right? So I used to put them in the Muay Thai competitions and kickboxing competitions and boxing competitions. We don't have any wrestling here in Tamil Nadu, otherwise they would have gone into a lot of that also. Judo's with the gi, so we don't focus on that too much. So that's how they used to get into all of these competitions. And then finally, IMA Nationals was the first time we did a competition. And now with MMA India, we've got a much bigger, better platform also. So, yeah.
No, that's insane because there's so many, for lack of a better word, insecure coaches that, and it's very prevalent in a lot of traditional combat sports. You talk about boxing. I've seen it a lot in boxing, like as I've been boxing since I was 10 years old. So I've seen that if you box at a certain club and you go to learn something from some other club, the boxing coach immediately blacklists you or doesn't like you coming in again. You're seen as a rival. It's nice to see a coach like you or head of a team like you that sends your boys out to learn from these different people, that is not insecure about admitting the fact that, okay, fine, somebody else does know a lot more than I do. Somebody always knows a lot more than I do. Because there's a lot of coaches that don't think that way. A lot of coaches think that, no, what I do works. What I do is 100% foolproof to any other coach's principles or any other coach's systems. So it's nice to see that right now, and you see that through your evolution in your boys. You know.
Yeah. No, that's a baseline tenet, and if you look at it now, all the boys themselves are good coaches. They make a shitload of money from training people, from PTs. They all have jobs. They're supporting the club. They do their own research. They also have to study. They also keep getting exposed to new systems. The insecure coach syndrome we see all the time. I think, but if you look at it properly, how are they going to, if any coach in India tells you that they are phenomenal international level, top of the line MMA coach, it's a pipe dream, right?
Yeah.
Because it's only now that these guys are being exposed to that international competition at an amateur level. Pro level, there's nowhere, So it's over the next few years that you'll see those kind of people come out, and there'll be few and far between. But the one rung below that is all the top guys who are there now. But if you look at those guys, so how many are there? 5, 6, maybe 7 coaches across the entire India?
Yeah, absolutely. And you can literally count them on your fingers.
Yeah, you have to lean on the coaches. Otherwise, you're not going to go anywhere.
But
and these guys have also, if you look at Kaushik, Abu, and Lenin, they've all gone abroad also and trained at some of the best gyms in the world. And they've brought back so much insight. And I think they'll be better to tell you about the difference in the coaching level and how the experience is, if you compare it to, let's say, Evolve MMA or Fairtex or Team Noguera in Dubai. So, I think they'll be better to tell you.